Emotionally immature individuals often rely on rigid thinking to create a sense of stability in their unpredictable inner world. For those with low regulation, certainty becomes a form of control. Fixed explanations and assumptions, even if inaccurate, feel safer than uncertainty. Emotionally underdeveloped individuals struggle to consider alternative explanations or to see another person's perspective, especially when it makes them feel uncomfortable and they might have to revise their existing belief systems. Instead of evaluating multiple possibilities, emotionally immature people tend to settle on one narrative very quickly and they treat it as fact. Then, if new or contradictory information comes along later, it is dismissed, minimized, or rewritten to fit in with their beliefs. This is a protective mechanism that reduces emotional strain, but at the cost of accuracy and flexibility. Seeing another's point of view requires stepping out of the immediate emotional reaction and seeing other possibilities, holding other possibilities at once. Two things can be true at once. For someone who is already struggling with doubt and complexity and feeling grounded, this is very destabilizing. Other perspectives are not perceived as additional information, but as threats to their certainty. And this type of thinking increases suspicion when only one interpretation is allowed, and that interpretation often leans negative or is defensive. It becomes self-reinforcing. Neutral or unclear situations are more likely to be filtered through a lens of distrust. If someone behaves in a way that doesn't match the immature person's expectation, the gap is filled in with assumptions, usually negative ones, instead of curiosity. The individual may become increasingly confident in conclusions that have not been fully examined because other possibilities were never considered. Interpersonal relationships suffer, and emotionally immature individuals typically do not have any deep, genuine, secure relationships. Conversations can feel circular with little to no movement towards shared understanding. Clarification is just more information for them to weaponize and misinterpret. It's more information for them to accuse you of being manipulative with, when ultimately they're the ones with the lack in comprehension. Evidence that contradicts their beliefs, completely thrown out, but anything that supports it is put on a pedestal. This leads others to feel unseen and drawn into an attempt to correct a narrative that's not open to revision. The most effective approach in dealing with this dynamic is realize you're not going to get them to change. So don't force them to or try to force them to, and just stay grounded in your own perspective. These aren't the kind of people that you can have an open dialogue with. It'll just be twisted, misunderstood, weaponized. Clear and concise statements, minimal words, are far less likely to be distorted than lengthy justifications. It is important to avoid taking responsibility for feelings that are not yours. You can acknowledge that someone feels that way without agreeing with it, and you don't have to agree to the conclusions that they've drawn. Trying to fix someone else's perception can pull you deeper into the dynamic, and it ultimately reinforces it. Equally important is recognizing when disengagement is appropriate. Rigid thinking in emotionally immature individuals is not stubbornness. It's an inability to tolerate complexity. The inability to hold multiple perspectives leads to simplified defensive views of reality. Responding effectively requires comprehending what can and can't be changed in the moment and choosing not to amplify a system that depends on certainty over accuracy. Have a good day.